US-India workshop, primarily because the first edition of India Smart Grid Week, USTDA hosted this Smart Grid workshop. It was primarily driven by the USTDA, or US Trade and Development Agency, and we continue that in second. And this time, it's grown much bigger. And we have, US Department of Commerce, we have Department of Energy, we have TDA continuing, US Agency for International Development, or USAID. So we have a phenomenal amount of audience, and we have similar representation on the India side. We have the regulatory folks, we have the ministry folks from MNRE, et cetera, and of course the Reliance and some of the other Tata Power extra utilities in here. And we also brought in the industry members. We have some good industry representation in both of the panels from the US side. Let me give you a quick background of why this workshop came about the way we have it right now, and that's very important to understand. And that's because, over decades, US-India scientific and business cooperation has flourished significantly. The whole smart grid, the renewables or electric vehicles, et cetera, has caught up significantly through policy support. But the collaboration, essence of collaboration, the spirit of the collaboration has existed over decades. I remember myself, I've been involved in the India projects when I was working for Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory and some of the programs out here. We were extensively involved in those kind of joint collaboration. But the important thing is bilateral cooperation has empowered what I call the two largest democracies with innovation, economic growth, and new market opportunities in the energy sectors is where we're focusing, specifically on the smart grid within the energy sector. We do have very analogous goals in between both countries. An example of that is smart grid modernization, distributed energy resource proliferation, the whole transformation in the electric grid, revisioning the electric grid, electric vehicles, the market opportunities, et cetera, exist. The way we have structured this is we have a presence of Chair, Patrico Santello, who is here. I will briefly introduce him. We also have Chair from the India side, Ms. Jyoti Arora, who is Joint Secretary for the Ministry of Power. Unfortunately, she's running a little bit late in her meeting, so she should be here in maybe 10, 15 minutes very soon. So the chairs will give an address on the key areas in their respective countries. And then we will have the panelists, where we have broken the panelists into two panelists. One is in the area of technical and technology-related cooperation, and second one is in the commercial and deployment-related cooperation. And that kind of cooperation is very critical, not just because they're technical area, technology R&D areas, or deployment areas, but that's how the programs have also been structured for bilateral collaboration between two countries. So from that perspective, I think it's very critical that each of these experts address those specific areas so which you get to hear them. And then, we hope this discussion will benefit a lot of different stakeholders. It includes customers, regulators, technology vendors, businesses, where people can identify new cooperation opportunities, policy development, market structure, advanced manufacturer, knowledge transfer, et cetera. So that's our intent. We hope to really establish this kind of a dialogue where both countries and key experts and representatives from each countries come together and discuss this topic. So as I mentioned, we will have the chairs represent, and then we'll bring in the panelists, and the panelists will give an overview, and we'll have a moderated discussion. I have my co-moderator here, Larissa Dobriansky, who is also with me. She'll be primarily involved in the second panel on the regulatory and the deployment side of things. I'll be primarily involved in the first on the technology side of things. And then, time permitting, we will engage in a question and answer session from the audience because we would like to hear from you. What are some of the questions, the challenges that you see from your side? And those are very important from the cooperation perspective because we don't want this to be a one-sided activity. And good thing about this is we don't have any PowerPoints, okay? We didn't want to intentionally stay away from PowerPoints because we wanted this to be a more, discussion on key topics and key aspects where moderated discussions will be more important than, just a PowerPoint presentations.